Hello, and this is my 10-minute tidy up of the Tomcat, or if you're into alliteration, the 10-minute tart up of the Tahiti Blue Tomcat at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. Good, huh? No, not really. Anyway, this car has had a few tiny cosmetic issues for a while. Firstly, this number plate, which I had to drill off before I turned the camera on full, has been a borderline MOT fail, or at least an advisory, for as long as I've had the car. Unfortunately, it cracked not long ago, so now I've actually had to do something about it. These number plates came with the car in 1993, and in fact the guy who had this car as a demonstrator recognised it at a show because of these plates. Unfortunately, the font has now changed since the 90s. It's a now slightly different looking font. Obviously it still says the same letters, but it just doesn't look like the 90s anymore. I got very lucky that drivers still had a set of these hanging around since 1993 in the correct font with their logo on it still. That was lucky, wasn't it? So I'm going to quickly change these number plates. This fog light has been cracked for many years. I have had this on the sofa in my office since June last year. That might be a little bit of procrastination going on there, but I'm going to change this over now. And this little bubble of rust has been bothering me for a while. I've got a can of paint in the garage, which is probably the wrong shade of Tahiti because there are 7, but I'll give it a quick squirt over with that and make it look nicer. One thing I can't do anything about today is the large number of stone chips on the lower bumper and the endless cat prints from a neighbour's cat, which I can't do anything about either. What are the chances of this coming on the radio now? I'm sure they weren't thinking of this kind of Rover when they recorded this song. Right, because I want this to stay sticking on the car, I'm actually going to clean it first. Now these number plate stickers are insanely strong. I've had to use an awful lot of these at work over the years, and getting them off again is always, frankly, a nightmare. On is easy, off less so, or at least it is, as long as you've got a clean base to stick them onto. And this is license plate must be screwed to plinth. Wow, license plate. That's kind of loose, I'm going to give that a quick tighten. Continuity alert, as if by magic, screwdrivers have appeared. Really doesn't want to do anything at all. Okay. A little better-ish. Not quite sure how that would have worked out as loose as that. Yeah, okay. Right, let's whack a couple of these on there. This will all have to come off again at some point in the not wildly distant future, because this whole front end needs painting. In fact, the entire car needs painting, but at the moment I'm just not budgeting for that. Can you see the difference? You can see why the MOT testers were getting a bit grumpy about that. And finally, beautiful. What an improvement. Clean wheels, shiny number plates make any car look so much better. Well, that's great. That can go on the trophy wall in the garage, along with all the other number plates we've got screwed up there. And let's quickly go and wax them on the back of the car. Right, let's pop this in there for a second. When I opened this boot up a few minutes ago, I wondered what the damp smell was, but the leaky boot problem has come back on this car, which I'm not particularly happy about because the carpet is soggy. I've got the oh, it's blown away. The bag you put the glass T-top roof in is like sopping wet. You can wring it out. There are vents behind the back bumper which you could have taken the bumper off and clean them up. I think it's the only way of doing it, but it's a problem for another day. So someone has already gooped this one on. Man, that's actually glued on. This has been described as my anti-speed camera number plate because you can't read the damn thing. God damn, that is really glued on, right? Now, unfortunately, the trim tool I actually need, I believe, is still in the door cavity of the Mondeo because I haven't found it since I took something apart on that car. There we go. But yeah, obviously protecting the paint with this cloth, because even though the paint's going, oh sorry, the paint will go at some point. Oh damn! Well, that one's not going on the trophy wall. don't generally need eye protection to take a number plate off. Wow, god damn, that is very stuck on. I don't think I've ever seen a plate welded on as tight as that. Oh man, man alive. Now, some YouTubers get stuff posted to them. I thought maybe I could promote this channel cynically by mailing one of these off to someone with a bigger following than myself. I don't think we're doing that with this one. Wowee, that is trash, and that is way too much goo to stick on a number plate. Seriously, whoever did that, don't be doing that again. I decided this was a bit more heavy duty than a baby wipe, so comes from detailing spray. I was hoping to find a cheapy bottle somewhere in the cupboard, but could only find me a nice Mirror Bright from Maguire's, which I wouldn't by choice be detailing behind a number plate with, but I suppose it's pretty grim, so I didn't want to damage the paint on this, because incredibly this plinth is about the only good bit of paint original on the car, apart from it's bubbling just there, of course. Actually, something else I'd quite like to do is change these number plate lights to LEDs. That would look quite cool with new plates. Maybe I'll pop down to Halford this afternoon and grab some, or maybe I'll go and do some real work. Let's just hope my little stickers stick. Not good. Let's try and get this straight so it doesn't look rubbish. By eye, spot on. Beautiful. That is a big improvement on this car. And this can all go in the rubbish. Now looking at this, I think it's just 2 screws that hold it in, and maybe a third one which might be a dummy, but I'm going to take them all out and see what collapses into the floor of the car and what's broken when I'm done. It's all going to be broken when I'm done, obviously. I'm amazed this is actually turning, because 93 to 2019, 26 years, 130,000 miles of road salt and rain and dirt. You'd think this would be rock solid. I've actually got 2 massive binders in the garage, which are the complete factory workshop manual from the dealership for these cars. Probably wouldn't have hurt to take a glance through that just to see how this comes out before I break it. On the Alpha, there's some gouges in the bumper where a previous owner has had a stab at taking the fog lights out, and just tried to pry it from the front, and what you want to do is go under the bumper and push it from behind. I spoke too soon about not being stuck. Aha! Anyone from McCoy's? Ugh. Wow, this is far too easy. How does this separate, I wonder? Oh, it's just pressure. Wow, that's easy. Gosh. Oh, and that screw down there, which I didn't even notice before. Come on, undo, undo, undo. God, this has gone on forever. Undo, 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 undo. There we go. Wow, free. That was easier than I expected. So now, how does this undo? That doesn't come out. But this looks like it should slide off from that somehow. Okay, now it's going to need to disconnect this from the bodywork somehow. Without breaking it, ideally. Cool, right, now let's just check the new part works before I hook it all back together. Who says Rovers aren't reliable? This one still has its little connector to the bodywork. So I'll disconnect the... God, that's full of water. The rain the last couple of days has been unbelievable here, and it has got into every nook, cranny and crevice you can think of. Look, the Mercedes is full of water. Boot of this is full of water. Good, that's connected. It's kind of bent, but not too much to worry about. No, I had no idea this little top connector would just pop in like that. That's so cool. And this is just an adjuster to get it pointing about the right angle. That goes back in there like that. Robert's your father's brother. Done! These things do look cool, don't they? For a 90s square old Rover, this is a cool car. This little rust spot has been a pain for a while. It's not really got much worse, but I don't want it to escalate if it doesn't have to. And as I say, ultimately the whole car will be repainted. But until then, quick improvement so it doesn't go through the metal. And start off with 120 grip. You always wind up taking off more than you thought you would do. And this has gone quite a lot deeper into the metal than I thought it would as well. I'm not going to make an effort to fill it today because the whole bonnet needs painting, so at some point that would just make it harder in the future. So I'll leave it just painted and lacquered for the moment. Now the important part of masking up. Luckily I did find some newspaper in the boot from a previous effort. Sadly my planning has let me down again and I can't find any masking tape, so I'm going to insulation tape an old copy of The Times from 2013 over the car. Well, it is a Rover after all. Wouldn't be doing some lowbrow nonsense on here. Going for that pro spec finish here, obviously. So I'm going to quickly give the undercoat a dust over with some 600 grit, just to give it a smooth surface and key it. Plenty enough. Well, I am kind of concerned that the weather has turned since this morning. My 10-minute tart up has taken longer than it should have done, and it's now a lot colder, a lot windier, and probably going to rain. So I would like to get this done interfrastically. As I've mentioned many times on this channel before, my driveway is basically a wind tunnel. Wow, that's really the wrong colour. God, that's not even close, is it? Oh my God. That's basically turquoise. Oh man. I wish I'd tested this before I started. Well, I'm 4 or 5 coats in now, and the colour match is actually quite good. Unfortunately, the finish is appalling because the wind blew up really badly as I was leaving it to dry between the last coats, and it blew all the paper off the bonnet and it just gouged it all through the wet paint. So it's pretty disgusting now. I'll give it one more coat to try and fill in the gouge details, and then come back with some lacquer, having given a 1200 grit sand down. Oh, what a mess. Well, it's dried up and I'm amazed how close the colour match actually is to the original paint. It's a tiny bit darker, but nowhere near the turquoise it did look like it was going to go. So I'm just going to wet and dry it with some 1500 grit paper, just to blend the old paint and the new, the overspray, make it go away, and make it look factory fresh. Well, that car looks 1,000 times better now. You can barely tell that I've made any improvements to it because I've just blended in so seamlessly. The bumper is back to original, the fog light looks like new again, and this paint, you can't tell I've done anything to it. Okay, that's an absolute lie. The paint looks awful. It's just nowhere close to on a colour match, so I'm going to go to a proper paint shop and get a decent aerosol match. I know it can be done because the spoiler's been painted, and if I get the same paint code as that, I know it'll be fine. So I'm going to leave this where it is and not waste any lacquer on it. At least it won't go any rustier now. One last thing before I put this car away today. I've been watching a lot of Finnegan's garage, and he's been collecting tapes in his ramp truck. And something occurred to me. I've never ever tried the cassette player in this car, so I found this. Pearl Jam 10 and Pearl Jam Versus, because it's a C90. I've got both CDs onto one cassette back in the day. Let's see if this actually plays in this tape player. It's kind of wobbly, but it's playing. I don't know if that's because the cassette's been in the loft for the last 2 decades, or if because the cassette player is at fault. Wobbly in that direction too. Hey, thanks for watching. Next time I'll do something to the Mercedes probably, or the Rover V8, or the Alpha, or something. Hey, please hit like, please hit subscribe. See you again soon.